Welcome to the Lavender Table, a web-based talk show for and about the LGBT community. And now, let's keep the conversation going with your host, Gary Elgin.
Welcome back to the Lavender Table. We're sitting here with Gene Nutter. When we left, we were talking about the Graham House, the Graham apartment building on Magnolia that Julia Tucker had done so much to renovate for the residents who needed assistance and a little more comfortable living space.
Right. They didn't have to worry about, but they didn't have to worry that the power was on. It was paid for. They didn't have to worry. There were people that would take them if they couldn't take themselves to their doctor's appointments. It truly was one of those times in one's life where you realize that good does prevail. Through all the ignorance that people around you want to spread, good does prevail, and she was the angel of goodness to this town at that time. And for that, I will always admire Julia Tucker.
Well, and not only was Julia instrumental and the gay male population instrumental, but when I came here in '92, the lesbian community had stepped up to such a degree, it was awe-inspiring.
Gary, I don't know whether I'm sure you remember this once again, and I hate saying it because I sound like I'm just repeating an old adage, but do you remember when gay was all-inclusive? I am sickened in today's society by the fact that, are you gay? Are you a lesbian? Are you a fag? Are you a homosexual? Are you a queer? Are you a dyke? We have been put in such a position by our own society that the only way that we came to national prominence, or our journey came to national prominence, was when we stood united and together. And we have done ourselves a disservice, truly a disservice, by trying to break our community down into segments. It's one for all and all for one, children. And that's the way it's got to be in order to succeed. And I am sick. I will not break it down. And I upset a lot of coat feathers by my adamance about that. And I am unapologetic about it at the same time.
As you are about many things.
Yes, I am.
But Nora Stryer and I spoke about the word queer and how we both embrace.
Queer is empowering.
It is. I've always found it so, and yet there are some people that adamantly.
But my point being, queer is all-inclusive.
It's true.
Queer is odd, or
out of the ordinary.
Out of the ordinary. And I don't know about you, but I prefer to be out of the ordinary.
I have been for years.
I'm certainly not a cookie cutter. There's no one doing that. And so when I say queer, I'm including the lesbian community. Exactly. I'm including the transgender community.
The bisexuals.
I'm including the bisexuals, the omnisexuals, the pansexuals.
Right.
We simply live outside the mainstream. That does not make us wrong any more than it makes us right.
Right.
We are simply human beings trying to get along. And people that try to divide us by segmenting are doing themselves and the greater community a very dangerous disservice.
But you have to, I suppose, not have to, but perhaps you can allow for those in the individual segments their due to want to empower their own in that way.
If that's the case, then we're back to where we started. We're all empowered. You walk out and admit your homosexuality, you're empowered. To do it, once you're empowered, is to merely reverse the whole process. You are taking yourself out of the greater community and placing yourself into a smaller community. Where is the logic? There is none. How many people have to die in this community through violence, through ignorance, through disease, to realize that simple fact? It is amazing to me. And no, I don't have to admit it. And I'm not going to. And I may be old, I may be contrary, but I'll tell you what. When people have seen what I have seen through my eyes, what you have seen through your eyes, people that are older than ourselves have seen through their eyes. I dare say they would fall farther on the degree with me than they would with the ones that want to create their own space. You have your own space. You're a human being. We all have our spaces. We're human beings. That's our starting point. When you're gay, or you're bisexual, or you're transgendered, the gay community is the one that accepted you when no one else would. And you're accepted, you're empowered. And then, once you're empowered, you want to reverse the process. It's anathema.
I will say, though, that the bisexuals, a good deal of the time, bisexuality is not embraced by the gay community as a whole. They are disavowed, if you will. They're told that it doesn't exist, that it's a phase, that it's transitional. That
And how many times have we, as gay people, been told the same thing?
Absolutely. But
So if the gay community won't embrace the bisexuals, all of a sudden, remember when transgender wasn't spoken about in the homosexual community? Because ultimately, they're not homosexuals. That is true. But somebody has to stand up for the weakest among us. And in terms of clout, in terms of recognition, as far as the gay community has come, we ourselves still have trouble with the transgendered problem. More so, honestly, than the bisexual problem. Well, problem's not even the right word.
No.
I use the word problem in terms of politics.
Sure.
Because, once again, divisiveness. We all live outside the main bubble. And as such, no matter what our paths, they converge on that one point of minority status.
Look at the last two major Democratic candidates, if you will. Bill Clinton spoke of us as the gay community. Mm-hmm. Barack Obama's candidacy, his campaign, has repeatedly called us LGBT. Mm-hmm. There is a difference now. There is a recognition. There is...
There's some very smart speechwriters.
Well, yes, yes.
But that says something, that the speechwriters, because as intelligent as both of those men are, I don't give them the credit.
Oh,
I give their speechwriters.
Understand.
They're
Yeah.
machines. And it doesn't matter. It's inclusive. However you want to list us, you can call us the Blue Hats. I'll be perfectly acceptable for the Blue Hats.
Can we go for the lavender?
Oh. Pause.
Pause. Take.
But I do admire them, and I do admire the progression of it. Nobody mentions it, but, you know, the most vilified political figure of the 21st century was Dick Cheney,
Sure.
who never, ever demurred from admitting and accepting his gay daughter, and when they married, the proud father, and when she had a child, the proud father. And never did, no matter what his sins were politically, as a father, there are many in our community that would want a man to stand like that man did for his daughter. So I admire it. Politics are one thing. Humanity and being a human, a good human, a caring, giving human, are something totally separate. I always say Jimmy Carter was one of the worst presidents we ever had in our, but consequently, he was one of the great, or he is one of the greatest statesmen this country has ever been proud to call president. There is something more in all of us. And when you have that level of power, just that, as you said, that progression from gay to LGBT says something about the movement, says something about our progression into mainstream society, to the point where, and I'm so happy about this, I don't know what to do, marriage, gay marriage. I've been married 7 times, unofficially. And unlike Liz, I never married one twice. And they know their numbers. Because as a relationship, as with being a human being, remember what you loved and let the rest go. In politics and in the American mind, I am fascinated by the fact that we have gone from absolutely no marriage, and then we progressed, and then we got to civil union. And some of us, myself included, thought, well, everybody has to marry civilly. Straight people have to go to the city courthouse and get the civil license before they can have marriage. Marriage being a sacrament, marriage being a holy union. And I was perfectly happy with the secularity of it. Because, quite frankly, this country is a secular country. We don't adhere to any one religious following.
Shh, don't tell anybody.
I know. People are going to be surprised when they hear that out of a Catholic. But then we move on, and certain states start passing. So I honestly believe, God willing and the creek don't rise, that I will live my life when the United States Supreme Court will constitutionally guarantee marriage for all Americans, not just heterosexual Americans. We're all of the same ilk. And I feel so blessed to be at this point in history. After so much we've been through, after so much we've fought for, we're at the doorstep once again. And please, please don't let the phone ring and tell me Grandma's in the hospital. And I think with that, Gary, Elgin, I want to thank you and the Lavender Table. I want to thank the community at large who watched this and see the fat old queen still be the fat old queen with something to say. And just remember, life is a banquet, and most poor
Sons of bitches
are starving to death.
This is Gary Elgin with Jean Nutter, Mama Jean, the Queen Mother. Let's keep the conversation going.
Thank you.